The small alien ship moved slowly through the dark space near the edge of the solar system. Its lights flickered in a weak way, like a candle almost going out. Inside the ship, the Luyari people sat close together. Their thin hands shook, and their pale faces showed fear and tiredness. They had been running for many weeks with almost no food, no safe place to land, and no one who wanted to help them. They were a peaceful people, but they had been cast out by the powerful alliance that ruled most of the galaxy. No one listened to their side of the story. No one believed they were innocent. Ralph, the leader of the small group, looked at the broken screens in front of him. He was older than the others, and his bright eyes were calm even when things were hard. He spoke with a soft voice that helped the younger Luyari feel a little less afraid. He told them that they were almost close to a new star system. He did not know who lived there. He did not know if the people there would help them or hurt them, but he believed they had no other choice. They needed food, water, and repairs, or they would all die in space in the distance. A long line of stars slowly shifted on the ship's screen. The computer showed a faint blue signal growing stronger. It was a human patrol craft moving through the outer system. The Luyari did not know who humans were. They had heard only a few things from old reports. Some said humans were brave and friendly. Others said humans were wild and not part of the Alliance's strict order. Ralph knew only one thing. They had to try sending a distress call. If the humans were dangerous, then their journey would end here. But maybe this would be the one place in the galaxy where someone would not turn them away. Inside the human patrol ship, Commander Alan Brooks watched the console as a new beacon flashed. His ship, the Horizon, was not very large, but it had strong scanners. Alan leaned closer when he saw the distress signal. It was weak and damaged, but clearly real. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. Alan was the kind of person who could stay calm even in strange situations. He believed that a distress signal should always be answered, no matter who sent it. He told his pilot to change direction. The Horizon moved toward the unknown ship. Alan knew the Alliance sometimes gave warnings about helping outside groups, but he was not part of their political games. His job was simple. Someone out there needed help, and he would not ignore that dot when the humans approached. The Luyari ship tried to move away at first. They feared a trap, but their engines were too weak. The lights dimmed again, and Ralph held the controls steady. He told his people that they must trust fate now. There was no more strength left to run. He sent the final piece of the distress call. The humans responded politely and asked for permission to board and give aid. Alan and a small team moved into the docking chamber. They wore simple suits, not heavy armor. Alan wanted the aliens to feel safe. When the door opened, the Luyari stared at the humans with wide eyes. The Luyari were small, with smooth pale skin and bright markings near their eyes. They looked fragile next to the humans, who were taller and stronger. For a long moment, neither group spoke. Then Alan stepped forward with a slow, kind movement. He introduced himself. His voice was warm and steady. Ralph came forward and placed a thin hand on his chest, which was a sign of peace among the Luyari. Alan mirrored the motion in his own human way, placing his hand over his heart. Ralph understood the gesture at once, and some fear left his eyes. Alan and his crew helped the Luyari walk out of their damaged ship. Many of them were weak from hunger and long days without rest. The humans gave them blankets, soft lights, and warm drinks that the Luyari tasted slowly. Unsure at first, one young Luyari child held onto Alan's arm, too tired to keep standing. Alan picked the child up gently, surprising the Luyari, who did not expect such kindness from strangers. Soon after, the Horizon's medical bay was full of soft voices and calm movements. A young human scientist named Laura Bennett checked each Luyari carefully. She spoke in a gentle tone. She had never met an alien before, but she treated them the same way she treated anyone who was hurt. Ralph watched her for a long time. It was strange to him that someone who owed them nothing would help them so freely. Ralph explained that they had been exiled. The Alliance accused them of hiding dangerous information. They were ordered to leave their home and never return. Their ship was attacked while fleeing, and they barely escaped with their lives. When Laura asked what information they were accused of hiding, Ralph looked down. He said he would tell her, but only when his people were safe and strong again. Laura accepted his answer without pushing him. Alan stayed near the command center and sent a message to Earth. He explained that they had rescued a small alien group. He asked for transport permission to bring them closer to human space. But before Earth could answer, a cold message appeared from the Alliance. The Alliance warned the humans not to interfere with the Luyari. The message said that the Luyari were dangerous and must not be allowed near any civilized world. The tone was harsh, almost angry. Alan frowned. Something about it felt wrong. He sent back a calm reply, saying that the Luyari posed no threat and needed help. The Alliance responded again, this time demanding that the humans hand over the Luyari at once. Alan read the message twice and did not like the feeling it gave him. Why would the Alliance be so quick to take them, if they had already cast them out into deep space? The answer did not make sense. Laura walked onto the bridge at that moment. She told Alan that the Luyari were recovering, but they were still weak. She said Ralph wanted to speak with Alan. Alan went to meet him in the medical bay. Ralph sat on a small bed with a soft blanket around his shoulders. His bright eyes were thoughtful but also worried. Ralph told Alan that the Alliance was not telling the truth. He said that they had not run away because of a crime. They had run because they discovered something dark inside the Alliance. He did not say what it was yet. He needed more time. But he asked Alan one thing with great seriousness. He asked if humans believed in helping those who had nowhere else to go. Alan answered without hesitation. He said that humans believed in giving everyone a chance. He said he did not know the full story yet, but he knew what he saw on his ship. The Luyari were scared, hungry, and peaceful. That was enough for him to stand with them. Ralph let out a slow breath. He looked relieved for the first time. He told Alan that he would share the truth when the time was right. For now, he only asked for safe shelter. Alan promised he would do everything he could to protect them. The horizon moved deeper into human space. The stars outside the windows glowed softly, and the Luyari slowly rested, warmed by blankets and the sounds of gentle human voices. For the first time since their exile began, they felt a small spark of hope. But Alan knew well that the Alliance would not stay quiet. He could feel trouble coming. The simple act of helping strangers might bring a storm to Earth still. As he watched the Luyari sleep and recover, he knew one thing. If humanity turned them away, no one else in the galaxy would take them in. And he refused to let that happen. Parts of the horizon drifted quietly near the outer edge of human space. The Luyari had begun to recover. Their pale faces were no longer pale from hunger, and their hands no longer shook with weakness. They explored the ship slowly, curious about everything. They had never been on a ship like this. The walls were wide, the lights soft, and there was enough space for everyone to move freely. Laura showed them around, explaining the small things that humans took for granted, like how to use the lights, the controls, and the small beds that could fold up. The Luyari watched carefully, learning quickly, and Ralph noted that humans were strong, yet gentle in their ways. While the aliens explored, Alan and his officers received a message from the Alliance. The tone was cold and strict. It demanded the immediate return of the Luyari. The message said humans were not allowed to interfere. The words were sharp and clear. Alan read it twice, then turned to Laura. He frowned. They want us to hand them over? Without even listening to their story? Laura shook her head. It is not right, she said. We cannot just give them back. Ralph stood beside Alan at the command center. He watched the screen as the Alliance ships moved closer. We were not attacked by chance, he said softly. They want us gone. They want to make sure no one knows the truth. Alan looked at him, puzzled. What truth? He asked. Ralph hesitated, then said, when the Luyari were part of the Alliance. We discovered secret experiments. They hurt many innocent worlds. We refused to join, and the Alliance turned against us. Alan frowned deeply. Experiments? He asked. Ralph nodded. Yes, we tried to warn them, but the officials involved were too powerful. They wanted us silenced. They forced us into exile. Laura stepped closer. Do you have proof? She asked. Ralph looked at her. Some is on the ship. The rest is hidden. We were able to save a small piece. If you can decode it, humans may understand. Alan nodded slowly. Then we will help you. But we must be careful. The Alliance will not wait for us to finish. The warning signals from approaching ships grew stronger. The humans felt the pressure of what was coming. Laura and Ralph worked together. They entered the small lab area of the Luyari ship. Strange devices sat on a table, blinking slowly. Laura had never seen technology like this. It was simple, yet elegant, and she could see the intelligence behind it. Ralph guided her hands over the devices, explaining in soft tones what each one did. Slowly, they found the hidden messages inside the ship. Files and recordings that proved the Alliance had lied about the Luyari. There were pictures of worlds abandoned by the Alliance, images of people suffering from experiments, and data showing the Luyari had spoken out. Every piece was carefully preserved. Laura copied the files onto human data drives. She felt a mix of awe and anger. The Alliance had lied to the galaxy, and the Luyari had been punished for it. Meanwhile, Alan prepared the Horizon for possible battle. He trained his crew, but he did not want to fight if it could be avoided. "We are not here to start a war," he told them. "We are here to protect those who cannot protect themselves. But if they attack us, we will defend them and ourselves." The crew nodded, understanding the seriousness. They knew that helping the Luyari might bring trouble to Earth, but they also knew Alan was right. Humanity could not turn away from those who were innocent. The Luyari began to trust humans more. They shared small stories about their home world, describing green skies, tall trees, and peaceful cities. They spoke of music that made their hearts calm and foods that were soft and sweet. Laura listened and tried to imagine it. She asked questions, sometimes simple, sometimes deep. The Luyari answered patiently. Ralph said it was strange but good to have humans listen without judging. For the first time in weeks, the Luyari laughed softly, feeling warmth inside. It was a small thing, but it meant the beginning of hope. The Alliance sent another message. This time, it was a fleet. Several large ships moved through space toward the Horizon and the Luyari vessel. The warning was clear. "Hand over the Luyari, or we will take them by force." Alan frowned. "They will attack us soon," he said. Laura looked at Ralph. "We need to be ready," she said. Ralph nodded. "We can fight if we must, but our goal is to survive and show the truth." Alan made a decision. He sent a message to Earth. The files Laura had copied were included, proving that the Luyari were innocent and that the Alliance had lied. Earth Command replied with calm instructions: protect the aliens and do not surrender them. The people of Earth had already begun to support the Luyari, sending messages of hope and relief. Even civilians had started sending food and supplies in small cargo ships. Alan smiled faintly. Humanity had not forgotten its compassion. The first confrontation came near the moon. Alliance ships formed a line, expecting an easy victory. They did not know that humans were ready. Alan moved the Horizon carefully, positioning the Luyari ship behind human defenses. Laura and Ralph watched the screens. Together, they shared information about Alliance movements. The Luyari had knowledge of tactics, small weaknesses in the Alliance ships that humans did not have. Alan listened carefully, respecting their intelligence and planning moves together. It was a partnership. The first shots were not fired. Instead, the Alliance sent messages demanding surrender. Alan replied calmly but firmly. He said the Luyari were under human protection and would not be given up. The Alliance officers hesitated, noticing that the humans were prepared and determined. They were not the easy targets they expected. The tension in space was strong. Every officer on the Horizon and every Luyari on board felt the pressure of what might come next. At night, in human space terms, the Luyari gathered quietly. They shared small meals, their faces pale but calm. One young Luyari named Kira spoke to Laura softly. "We never thought anyone would help us. We thought the galaxy had forgotten our people. Now we see humans are different. They care for others. They fight for what is right." Laura smiled. "Humans have a long way to go," she said, "but we try our best. And we will not let anyone hurt you while we can stop it." Kira nodded. "We hope this is true." It feels strange to feel safe again. Ralph spoke to Alan privately. We are not ready for the full truth yet, he said. But when the time comes, humans must know everything. The Alliance is hiding secrets that will shock them. But for now, we survive. That is enough, Alan nodded. We will protect you. That is all that matters now. He paused. But we also need to prepare for what comes next. The Alliance will not give up easily. As the night continued, small lights flickered across the horizon. The Luyari rested, humans watched carefully, and the Alliance ships hovered in the distance. It was quiet, but the quiet held tension. Everyone knew that this was only the beginning. Alan felt a strange pride. Humans had the chance to show the galaxy that they could protect the innocent and stand against lies. He would not fail. Laura felt a new determination. She would help the Luyari survive and reveal the truth. And Ralph allowed himself a small sense of hope that the galaxy might not have forgotten his people completely. The first part of their journey together had ended with rescue. But the second part, with the Alliance approaching and warships preparing, was only just beginning. The Luyari looked to humans not only for help, but for trust, protection, and a chance to tell their story. Humanity had opened its doors, and now the future depended on courage, intelligence, and careful planning. The horizon moved slowly, carrying both humans and aliens into a future that could change the galaxy forever. Part 3. The Luyari and humans were still recovering from the tension of the Alliance's warning. Inside the horizon, the atmosphere was quiet, but every officer and crew member knew that danger could appear at any moment. Alan walked along the ship's corridors, watching the Luyari explore and become more comfortable. Some of them laughed softly, touching the walls and controls, learning the ways of the humans. It was strange and wonderful to see their small, cautious movements become confident. Alan felt a sense of pride. Humans could offer protection, yes, but they were also giving trust. And that trust made the Luyari stronger. Laura spent long hours with Ralph in the ship's lab. The data they recovered contained secret records from the Alliance. Many of the records described experiments on small, abandoned colonies. The Luyari had witnessed these experiments and refused to participate. The Alliance then cast them out. Laura and Ralph carefully decoded the files. Each time they found proof of corruption, anger grew in Laura's heart, but so did determination. Humans could not allow such lies and cruelty to continue, and now they had evidence. One afternoon, Kevin Diaz, a human engineer, was called to examine the Luyari ship. He had never seen technology so strange yet so functional. Small panels moved under his hands. Lights blinked in patterns he did not fully understand. Ralph watched him, explaining each part as best he could. Kevin realized almost immediately that someone had tried to sabotage their systems. Before they were rescued, the engines were rigged to fail. Navigation systems were tampered with. If the Luyari had not been saved, they would have drifted in space until death. Kevin shook his head in disbelief. They almost didn't make it, he said softly. Ralph nodded. We were lucky to find humans, he said. We had no one else. Outside, the Alliance fleet continued to move closer. Large ships slowly glided through space, their lights sharp and cold. Alan called a meeting of his officers. The Alliance will not give up, he said. They will expect us to surrender or fight. We must prepare, but we must also remain calm. Our goal is survival and the protection of these people. Everything else comes second. His officers listened carefully, nodding. Every member of the crew knew the importance of what was coming. It was not just about humans or aliens. It was about truth and justice. At night, the Luyari gathered in one of the common rooms. Small mats and blankets were spread across the floor. Kira, the young Luyari child, told stories from their homeworld. She spoke of forests with glowing flowers, rivers that reflected stars, and winds that made soft sounds like music. The other Luyari listened, their eyes wide with wonder. Humans listened too, quietly, trying to imagine a world so different from their own. Laura sat nearby, smiling. She realized how much the Luyari needed to remember their past, even if it was painful. Those memories gave them strength. Ralph spoke quietly to Alan one evening. "We must be careful," he said. "The Alliance may attack soon, but they do not understand our knowledge. If humans and Luyari work together, we can survive. But we must plan every move." Alan nodded. "We will not fail. We have truth on our side, and we have courage. That is enough to begin." Laura spent hours in the lab, decoding more records. Each message, each file, added to the story of the Alliance's lies. They had erased entire settlements, moved people without reason, and punished anyone who discovered the truth. Ralph helped explain details the computer alone could not give. Every time they uncovered new information, Laura recorded it carefully. They needed to be ready to show this evidence to the galaxy if the Alliance tried to hide it again. Meanwhile, Kevin finished repairs on the Luyari ship. He discovered the final pieces of sabotage and removed them. Now the ship could move freely, and its shields could protect it in case of an attack. Kevin shared the news with Ralph. "Your people are ready to fly again," he said simply. Ralph smiled faintly. "It is not just the ship," he said. "It is our chance to be seen as we truly are, not as criminals." Alan stood nearby. "Then we fight for that chance," he said. The Alliance sent another message, harsher than before. It demanded compliance and threatened humans with consequences if they did not surrender the Luyari. Alan replied with calm confidence. He said that humans would protect those who were innocent. The Alliance officers hesitated. They expected humans to follow their orders easily, but these humans were different. They had courage, and they had a sense of right and wrong that would not bend to threats. As the Luyari began to regain trust in humans, small cultural exchanges took place. Humans asked about Luyari traditions, and the aliens described their music, art, and ways of life. Ralph watched carefully. He wanted humans to understand that his people were not only intelligent, but also gentle and creative. Laura asked about Luyari schooling and children's games. Kira demonstrated a small game that involved moving lights in a pattern. Humans joined, laughing softly as they tried to match the movements. For the first time, the Luyari felt that humans could be friends, not just protectors. The tension outside the horizon did not disappear. Alliance ships continued to move closer. Sensors detected patterns in their movements that suggested possible attacks. Alan called his officers together to discuss strategy. He included Ralph in the planning. Together, they decided to combine human and Luyari tactics. Humans brought strong ships and weapons. Luyari contributed knowledge of weak points and evasive maneuvers. It was an unusual alliance, but one that could succeed if everyone worked together. One day, while reviewing data, Laura discovered a hidden message from the Alliance. It showed that a specific faction had lied about the Luyari's actions to the galaxy. The Luyari had been framed, punished for the crimes they did not commit. This explained the exile and the attempts to capture them now. Laura showed the files to Alan and Ralph. They all agreed that this evidence could be used to stop the Alliance from attacking. But they needed the right moment to reveal it. The Luyari practiced small drills with humans. They learned to move quickly in the ship, how to operate simple controls, and how to communicate during emergencies. Ralph watched proudly. His people were growing stronger, more confident. He whispered to Laura, "We will survive because they are willing to learn. Your people are teaching them courage as well as kindness." Laura nodded. "They already have courage. They just needed a chance to show it." Kevin Diaz discovered another piece of sabotage in the Luyari ship. He realized it was small but could have been deadly during flight. He removed it carefully, feeling a mix of frustration and relief. He showed Ralph and Laura. "Your people are lucky to have made it this far," he said. Ralph nodded. "We are lucky to have humans help us. Without them, we would not have survived." Alan smiled slightly. "We are stronger together. That is all that matters now." The first signs of battle appeared in the distance. Alliance ships were preparing for attack. Their movements were precise and threatening. Alan ordered the horizon to position itself strategically. He gave small commands, moving both humans and Luyari into formation. Laura and Ralph worked together to monitor the enemy, suggesting small maneuvers that humans would not have thought of alone. It was the first test of their partnership, and it would show whether humans and Luyari could truly stand together. As night came inside the ship, humans and Luyari shared small moments of peace. They ate together, told stories, and laughed softly. The tension outside the ship was heavy, but inside, trust and hope grew. Kira played a small game with human children, teaching them simple Luyari rules. Adults watched, smiling at the strange and gentle moments of joy. Ralph told Alan quietly, "Even if the battle comes, this is what we fight for. To protect life, to protect hope, to protect trust." Alan nodded. "We will not fail." The files Laura had decoded were ready to be presented. Every piece of evidence was stored carefully. They would be ready to show the galaxy the truth if needed. For now, Alan focused on defense and strategy. The Horizon and Luyari ship were ready. Humans and aliens prepared to work together. The Alliance would soon see that humanity did not give up on the innocent. The stars outside moved quietly, showing the endless space of possibility. The Luyari felt hope again, and humans felt responsibility. Everyone on the Horizon knew that the coming days would test them all. But together, they were stronger. They were ready to face the challenges ahead, defend the innocent, and show the galaxy that courage and truth could not be ignored. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, the Luyari knew they had found a place where they belonged. And humans knew that helping others could change the future of the galaxy forever.